Hi ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome you on our short journey with the introduction of our actuator, KNX actuator. My name is Almar and I will convey you through the next approximately heading 12 minutes. So what I want to introduce is finally our Fix 1 actuator, single actuators, our Fix 2, which is a typical project actuator, and the high flexible actuators which we do have in our Theben product range and in the entire KNX market, our Fix 2, and finally our actuators which are ideal finally for flush installation or flush mounting installation, twisted pair or RF secure. Okay, let's go inside and look the details or watch the details. So we do have here a assorted amount of actuators of our product range. And specifically, just for you to know, all Theben actuators are equipped with these, let's say, blue push buttons, which you discover here. And with these blue push buttons, anytime, even in the event of that the actuators are not programmed, anytime when power is applied, you can operate manually, on, off, dimming up, down, shutters up, down, however, everything is possible. If you do have here an actuator like here, which is just controlled or just supported by the bus communication or bus power, so even then you are in the position that you can drive manually. If you have an actuator which requires finally 230 volt, so then 230 volt is required, and then you are in the position that you can drive this actuator without any programming. Something which is unique, finally. Yeah, let's have a short insight into the application setting. Yeah, so we do have here these typical standards, and let's have a look inside here. So that means we do have here these switching on, off impulses and delay, staircase function, even flashing, for instance, for advertisement purposes and so on. So this is standard finally, so we support that. But you discover here as well, so this exceeded threshold. And what does this mean finally? So let's use this. So this means finally that we do have here this support that we can apply data point 5, 7, 9 values, for instance, like CO2, site brightness, like temperature, however. So we use a sensor, CO2 sensor, accordingly, link it to a communication object in the actuator finally, and you set the threshold in the actuator. And when this threshold, which you have preset, is overshooted or undershooted, however, so then the actuator will switch on accordingly. So high flexibility, which you have in your heading projects. Further on, you get a feedback in terms of our metering, each channel. Then you do have here this logic link option. If you want, if you need, in all of our actuators, you do have here such applications like logic links. And look at this. What you discover here is 600 watts of LED load per channel. Currently, benchmark. You discover here the RM4i, this is our C-load actuator, 850 watts of LED. Benchmark. What is the advantage of these powerful actuators and powerful relays which we are using here? You do not need any auxiliary relays, you do not need to install to do the wiring, and finally, you do not need additional space in the DB board. Your advantage, you got me? So that's what's to tell about, and this application is same. For all of our switching actuators, you will discover all these application settings are equal. So that means you know one application, you know all. And why I'm displaying here this chart, pretty simple. So you know this technology LED is meanwhile 6-7 years old, however, and really common in all the projects. You know probably that we do have here internal drivers. Even these, let's say, downlights here are equipped with drivers, and these drivers are dotted with capacitors. And you know, these capacitors are creating inrushes, tremendous inrushes in the switching on. And what is the effect? The effect is pretty simple. You discover here You see here the shape of a contact after approximately 6,000 switching cycles, and depends on the load, sure, and depends on the light, but you see what's ongoing here. And that's the result of it. And Theben had started the investigation of this more than 10 years before, started to invent a technology to support this technology and to use this technology in our products. Started with our time switches. Later on, we took this as well in the KNX actuators as well, and we can handle these huge, tremendous inrushes, yeah, pretty easy. We're prepared for that. And our appliances as well, for your advantage, long life of our products. Yeah, just as one single example, so this really nice fancy LED light, which is about 31 watt of LED, creates 26 amps in the first moment of lighting on. We did this in a VLE laboratory in 2016. The result is tremendous. And this just that you know. And all of our actuators, I have here sorted a variety of our actuators, and you will discover here that all our standard actuators here do have here 800 amps of inrush, and we do have here 600 watts of LED with our standard actuators. And if you compare carefully, you will discover that many of our competitors in the market, they need C-load actuators just to achieve exactly these fabulous values which we do have here in our standard actuators. But there is some on top. If we take our 4H or 8H, the high performance actuators, they support you with 25 amps per channel. Nevertheless, which line you apply. There is no hyphen, there is no dot, there is no small letter. Don't link neighbored actuators with low voltage or with the same line. However, there is no restriction. You can apply 3 different lines with 25 amps. And you discover here 850 watts of LED lights. Hey guys, that's benchmark. Yeah. Again, you do not need auxiliary relay, no accessory, no additional wiring, and not the spacing in the DB board. Yeah. And if you look on that, these are the C-load actuators. You discover here 1,500 watts of inrush rating. Hey, what do you need more? So then you're on the safe side. No doubts about the lifespan and the long life of the products. Even the small one, these are a sorted variety of our actuators for flush mounting. You discover here 250 watts LED, 100% ED, not switching off after 10-15 minutes and turn to overload, 100% ED. Here we talk about 600 watts with a flush mounted actuator. Size-wise, we talk about an appliance which is here, twisted pair, or for instance here the RF secure solution. 600 watts. Look at this, how cool is this? That's the way how we do it. Then let's have a look on the dimmer, for instance, special developed for LED, to control, to dim LEDs in a perfect manner. Let's have a look inside in the application. So that means we do have here the application with automatic load detection, standard, but important is finally, you discover here, the dimmer itself is in the position that it can support you with a minimum load of 1%. For LEDs important. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to start with 10%, 1% and upwards. If you discover, for instance, a LED which is probably not so ideal to dim, or the dimming curve of the light itself is not so ideal. So we do have here a specific page in the dimmer where you can adjust your dimming curve accordingly. Yeah. If a light is flickering in the lower and the bottom end, so you can limitate here, for instance, that the dimmer starts from a specific point and upwards. Or you can limitate it in the top, however you decide. This dimmer is perfect for universal dimming in decorative lights and so on. Let's have just a short brief look in the shutters actuator. So we do have here standard applications. So for electrical motors or for electronic motors, you have to set finally, so how is the runtime from the upper position to the lower position. Could be as well for motor-driven curtains as well. You decide, and the important thing is finally you discover here So this Masterslave, this teach-in, is a perfect solution. You take just one channel, which is the master, you just once do the teach-in and you share the time with all the slaves, for instance, with all the slave channels for the other blinds, and you have just to do it once, and all of complete facade, for instance, is teached-in. If you have to do some modifications, you just do it once. You do not need any, let's say, horrendous expensive motor drives which are discovering the upper end and the lower end, however. This is the cheap and absolutely reliable solution, finally. Yeah, so who got that? Then we talk about the Fix2 solution. So that means same stuff, but now double size. So we have here a kind of Masterslave. So same application, but double the size. Ideal products for finally projects where there is a need for a huge amount of contacts or channels. However, I just want, in this case, to highlight this RM8T or RM4T, however. So which means finally, you can choose if you want to have a switching actuator or switching channels, or you want to have, for instance, blinds actuators. You choose on this actuator how many of them you need. You decide. Okay, plus further in this size, we do have here blinds actuator, dimming actuator, heating actuator, FCA2, however, we do have. And added really unique solution, which we do have here since, meanwhile, more than 10 years, the mix actuator. So that means you have a Masterslave. Here we do have here a huge amount of masters, switching, dimming, heating, blinds, and so on, where we do have here the communication to the bus. We do have here the intelligence inside. You see here this huge amount of switching capacity, of abilities, however, and we do have here a huge amount of these extensions, which you can apply directly. So that means we do have here, for instance, this huge package, master, and we do have here different slaves. You just put it together and they are communicating together. And this one is just one piece in a KNX line, one group, one physical address. So that means 3 functions, just one group address, one physical address, which we do have here finally. Absolutely unique. Advantage of flexibility, advantage of price. And look at this again. So with this really high power relays inside. There is a locker, unlocker to dismantle, however. We do have here an option with this PCU, which you can take out. So easy and really rather fast exchange of the program, if you like. Unique in the KNX market. And how you have to imagine. You see here this, for instance, single product. You do have here the ETS, and in the ETS you have to apply finally. So what is a master, what is a slave, or what are the slaves finally? And here you decide, for instance, so what you want to have, switching or switching or shutters and blinds, or both. Then this one here you get the application, which gives you the option, for instance, like here, to select or to predefine how the dimming should be finally. And if we look here, so what you want to integrate, switching, dimming, push button or sequences, however. So this you can do with our mix actuators in a perfect manner. So absolutely unique, powerful, and absolutely from the price side, absolutely benefitful. Last but not least, we do have here these flush-mounted actuators. So flush-mounted actuators, for instance, switching, dimming, shutters and blinds. And here we do have here the heating, perfect twisted pair, and RF. And if you want to communicate with the RF, you do have here a media coupler. Total size is like that, you see here. Here is applied to a twisted pair. And from here on, from this media coupler, you are transmitting the data or receiving the data via RF secure. The unique thing is finally just to have this just in a short, brief manner. So all of our flush-mounted actuators do have here binary inputs for push buttons and so on. Or you can apply as well, you discover here the small temperature probe, and you can apply here as well a temperature probe. And then finally you do have here the smallest heating temperature actuator or temperature controller, which you can get currently in the KNX market. You see, there is a lot to talk about. If you know more, don't hesitate to contact us. See you next time.